Well, good evening. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about what it's like coming out to family members and friends and what my experiences were like, because this is the big fear, isn't it? Everyone's going to know. So, what's that like? Well, first, I'm going to remind you to click the little thumbs up deal, like the video, and also remind you to subscribe. And if you subscribe, click that little, wherever it is over there, alerts tab. I know it's terrible that I have to remind everybody over and over and over, but you know how it is. So I'm done. So coming out to family and friends, what is that like? Well, it's nerve-wracking at first. I mean, your biggest fears occupy every thought that you can have, and you don't really know, like, oh my gosh, how's this going to go? How is this person going to react? And what am I going to do if it goes wrong? A million things run through your mind, and you always go to the worst case scenario, and you're full of fear and everything. Honestly, after going through all of it, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as you would think it is. After going through it several times, you actually get to the point where you're like, oh, geez, I kind of want to tell people now. And then you do. You tell everybody. You're like, oh, hey, you, person next to me in the grocery store. And they're just, oh, okay, all right. And it depends on who you are. Apparently, I am that kind of person. Maybe I like attention. I don't know. Maybe, yeah, I do and I don't, so I don't know. But we'll talk about a few that really stand out in my mind, Obviously, telling my spouse is incredibly difficult and over a period of time, but we're not going to talk about that. That's just something for me and my spouse, and it was rough, She's a good woman and worked her best through it, but that's just something between us. So, let's see, some family members that I came out to, I remember coming out to my uncle's partner, and I felt like, oh, that's a very safe person. So I'll come out to this person, and that feels safe to me. So I remember calling up my uncle's partner and talking with him, and there was something I felt I needed to apologize for, some bad behavior in my past and stuff, and I did that, and we talked, and I explained what was going on, and then told him, like, hey, this is kind of where I'm at, and this is what's going on. And he had some questions, how is so and so doing with it, and how is, like, your sister doing with it, and of course I didn't have answers other than, well, I haven't said anything yet to that person, but we talked about it, and he really did understand. And I felt very safe coming out to him. So, I guess starting with someone who you feel is pretty darn safe to come out to is probably a good gut feeling, right? So, being as that was my uncle's partner, I thought, well, he'd be really, open-minded to the idea, and I could safely, count on him to be accepting. And it was all true, so that was a good place to start. A lot of the people I came out to first were people I never knew, I went on forums and introduced myself, and started talking to people that way, and built up my ability to discuss the topic with others, and yeah, I mean, you get to a point where you're good, but it takes some doing, and there's always those nerves. One that was really memorable was my sister. I love her dearly. We used to play Barbies and stuff all the time when I was a little kid, and I adored it. Although I wasn't much of a Barbie person, so much as I loved playing with Skipper. Skipper was mine, and I don't know why. Just Skipper was my style, so didn't want to be Ken. Although I was usually destined to have to do that, so in order to get playtime with my sister, it happened. She had all the good stuff too. Oh my gosh, she had the RV. She had the dream house with the elevator, like the early one, I think from the 60s. And I broke it. I was trying to play with the elevator too much, and I messed up the string, so I got in trouble. So the elevator never worked properly again. She had the grocery store. The grocery store was the coolest one ever because there was like a gondola and a shopping cart and every little thing you could ever imagine, like in miniature, soup cans and boxes of cereal. I mean, you name it, it was in there. And Barbie would stand with her cart, and there was a little track around the edge, and you could clip her cart into the front of this track, and you could turn this little thing over here, and she would just go around the gondola, put things in her basket. So, oh my gosh, I loved going shopping with Barbie. So that was like, but previous experience with the elevator fiasco meant I didn't really get to play with the shopping one for fear that I'd get a little crazy with the going around the gondola crank. Probably for good reason, because I was a little neurotic and got a little, too much, too rough with the toys, I was a kid, a little, 5, 6 years old, I mean, what can I say? But that was the cool one, I gotta be honest. That shopping thing was the best. Anyway, so I remember talking with my sister and some other, not really family, but an in-law of some sort kind of got wind of things and was calling people, and I got really nervous, and so I thought, well, I'm telling my sister first. I'm not letting somebody else say this to her. So I told her, hey, I really need you to come over. I need to talk to you tonight. So she kind of dropped what she was doing, and she came over and knocked on the door of our apartment and came in. She poked her head in. I remember this. It's so funny. She pokes her head and opens the door, pokes her head in and says, "Are you gay?" And this was like, no, not yet. And neither of us knew what to say about that. Just what? What? I said, "Oh, sit down. I have to explain this to you." So she sat down, and we talked and fumbled around, and I explained, and I think her comments were along the lines of like, "Oh well, you're my brother," so, which was kind of like code for, mm-hmm. Yeah, like I've been around you a long time. It might not be a big shock, so I don't know. I'm interpreting here, so. And then she also said, it's weird, but it'll all work out. It'll all be fine. It'll just take some time, so. Yeah, I mean, that made sense to me. So coming out to her seemed okay. Before that, I came out to my aunt, and my aunt is just the dearest person you could ever imagine. Second grade teacher, just nobody can't love this person. I mean, this person is amazing. So I had, I think, dropped her off from lunch one day, and I was really struggling, and I was kind of talking about, her brother, and I said, gosh, I wish he was still around, my uncle being the person I did talk to throughout my teen years. I mean, he was my confidant. And when he passed in the early 90s, I didn't have anyone to talk to anymore. And I kept thinking, gosh, I really need to talk to my uncle. And I had said something to those effects as she was getting out of the car and going to her place. And it struck me so hard, I started just weeping. And I couldn't control it. And she knew something was really wrong, but she had the grace to say we could talk about it when I wanted to. So she didn't pry. And sometime later, I did say, look, I got to come up and talk to you. So we sat down and I explained, and she was very accepting and still is. In fact, I'm thinking if she has time tomorrow, we might go to breakfast or something. We like to do that and play cards. So could be something we do tomorrow. So we'll see if she has time. Unless a good game's on. She loves baseball and football and whatnot. So if there's a really good game on, then I'm kind of got to wait till the next one. So we'll see. So she was a safe person as well, although I didn't honestly know for certain, without a shadow of a doubt, that I could count on that. I just assumed and hoped. But yeah, she's a lovely person and somebody I just dearly love. I mean, she occupies the space in my heart that a mother would. My mother passed away in 2013, and um, she just was always that person for me anyway. So she still occupies that kind of a space in my heart. Um, some friends that I really was interested in talking with were, at the time, one of my buddies who was kind of my best friend pretty much at the time, and he's still a really, really good friend at the time now, you know. He's busy with a new life and a family and all sorts of things, so he's in a different phase of life than I am right now. So we don't see as much of each other, but we still keep tabs and go out to lunch and stuff. In fact, I should invite him soon. But I thought I got to sit down with him and explain things. And so we went to Olive Garden, and I asked to see, you know, can we get like a quiet table, maybe in the back somewhere? That's like, that doesn't exist at Olive Garden. I mean, no one ever said ever, you know, that quiet Italian family over there, that's never going to happen. So the place was loud no matter where we went. So we just picked something. And I sat down and I explained, and you know, he was fine. He and I talked about faith and other things as well, but that really wasn't the focus of the topic. You know, he was accepting and said, you know, this is no big deal. Where I come from, there's like several genders, you know, and it is what it is. And so we talked about it, and he was fine. He still is, and it bears nothing on him. He's nice with pronouns and things. He helped me move, you know, once when I was moving and things, and you know, I mean, he's one of those friends, you know, shirt off your back kind of guy. So, and then there was my old biker buddy. Yeah, I was worried about this one, and I really wanted to. I was going to go to a makeup class. I was out driving, and I thought, well, I'll go see my buddy, but I couldn't get him on the phone. So then I was going to go to this makeup person who was going to teach me makeup, and I kind of talked to them a couple times. In fact, I'd been poking my head in that door of this place since I was like 20, and continually doing that. You know, it's just like, how many years have gone by and I'm still doing this, you know, not committing and going in and doing this. But I called and canceled and said, look, I swear I'm coming. It's just not today. I have to go. I have to come out to my, you know, biker buddy friend. And she was like, oh yeah, no worries. You know, good luck. You know, so I turned the car around and started heading in the direction where my friend lives. And he met up with me on a road because I didn't know how to get there. He bought this big property. And so we had to drive up all these dirt roads to the property and stuff. And I'm getting deeper and deeper into the woods. And I'm like, oh dear God, if he doesn't like what I have to say, they're never going to find my body. So, but at the same time, I wasn't worried about him. He's a dear, kind soul. He's just one of those people you go to for help. You know, I mean, again, shirt off your back kind of guy, or his back. So I explained to his wife and him on their porch, and he was actually rather angry at me because he thought I was dying. It's like, I thought you were dying, you know, effing whatever, you know. And I said, no, I'm just, you know, switching teams. And he says, oh, whatever, you know. You could have just come out with it instead of dragging it on and on and on about you when you were 4, and then when you were 17, and then when you were 29. Just spit it out, you know. You know, so now what do we talk about, you know? So, but we discussed things, and, you know, he's one of those people. You literally can never be angry with him. It's impossible somehow. He's just too endearing. I have no way to describe it. He's just one of those people. So, and that was, you know, that was a toss-up. I didn't know how it was going to go, but it went really quite well. So I was super happy it did. You know, my old biker buddy, you know, he was in the motorcycle accident with me 15 years ago and saw me dead outside of the helicopter and thought I was gone. You know, oddly enough, this person in my life, it's like this person shows up every time I'm like at the crossroads. I swear this person is my guardian angel. And if not, the coincidence is amazing. But yeah, I wasn't certain, but it sure worked out, you know. That person is, you know, beyond helpful to this day. You know, I need help. That person is there right then and there. So, and coming out to his wife was interesting too, and she was extremely accepting. In fact, she is extremely accepting, beautiful person. Um, she and I really kind of get one another for whatever reason. Like there's some similarity between us, and the uniqueness is interesting between us because we share it, and we always kind of think, well, gosh, I thought I was kind of alone in this, but it was interesting, and I love talking with her. Whenever I get a chance, I love just spending some time. Although I know I take up a lot of her time, and sometimes I feel a little guilty, but it is a treat. So, I get to when I get to, and I treasure it. So, I came out at work. We kind of covered that, but I didn't go into the detail about how I came out to people at work. And people at work are kind of your friends, and at work I totally make people my friends. That's just how I do it. So I remember two of the people specifically. One of the machinists that I was working with all the time, and the shipping coordinator. And so I didn't mean to come out at work, but it happened, so I had to broach it when it kind of got loose. I'm thinking, oh geez, now it's time, I got to do it, because I don't want it floating around. So I was over in the shipping corner supplying stuff, and sitting down, I think I was polishing something. These stack of parts needed to be polished, and I thought, well, I'm just going to do it right here and get them to the shipping guy right now. And he's sitting across from me, and we're talking about stuff, and I don't know, I was babbling about whatnot, and I said, there are some things going on with me. He probably asked, hey, what's up with you lately? There are some things going on with me. They're kind of big things, and someday I'll talk about it. Someday we'll discuss it. Today doesn't seem like the day. And he turned and said, oh, what's going on? Is it like you're going to have a sex change or something? It's like you're going to tell me you're going to have a sex change. And of course I froze. I'm thinking, and then he's looking at me like, wait a minute, what's up with you? And I'm like, oh, how would you feel about that? What would your opinion be of this? And he goes, whatever, that would be my guess anyway. And I'm thinking, what do you mean your guess? I thought I covered for this really kind of well, and honestly I didn't. So we had to broach that topic, and I said, look, let's talk. And so we did talk about it, and he said, yeah, whatever, get back to work. So okay. And I said, well, I'm going to go talk to the machinist for a bit. Is that okay? And he goes, yeah, just get it done, get back to work. So I went, and the machinist sitting on the forklift, and I came over to him, and I just said, hey, we need to talk, And I explained it the best I could, and told him, hey, I'm transgender, and this is kind of on the roll, so things are going to keep changing, and then I'm not coming to work as a boy anymore and stuff. And it really was difficult for him. It's like he wouldn't look me in the eye for a solid week. He got okay with it, but I remember once he had said, previously when I was doing some hiring, he says, you got to hire a pretty girl in the shop, so, a big chest or something, so I can work with a pretty girl in the shop. And I was like, no, we don't do that, and I don't trust you not being nice to someone, you're just, shop guy, I don't need to expose some nice person to you. If we get somebody, they've got to have a tough skin around you. So I had said something about that, mentioning that specific thing, and I said, well, I don't think you were expecting this, And he looked at me and he says, oh God, I don't need your help that bad. Go back to your side of the shop. So yeah, he wasn't expecting a pretty girl with a big chest coming from someone else in the shop. So yeah, he was a little horrified by that topic. But overall, he didn't have any negative things to say, so it wasn't a big deal. It was just kind of a shock to him, and it took him a while to acclimate. So that worked out okay as well. So still, the theme here being, it worked out even though I had a lot of trepidation about some of these things. Then I had some friends, some really old friends that I've known forever. A friend of mine who took my place at work for a long time when I was really sick in the hospital after the motorcycle accident, so keep my job. And his parents who, kind of adopted me a little, so to speak, for a long time. And they were like my second extended family there. So I wanted to explain to them. They'd come by the office once to say hi, and they're like, something's going on with you. What is it? And I'm sitting in the front of their car, and I said, we're going to have to talk about something at some point. And they're like, yeah, I mean, you're losing weight, and you're looking different, and are you all right? You don't have like cancer or something? I'm like, oh no, it's fine. But we should talk. And they said, well, why don't you come over for dinner such and such night? Or maybe I called them and said, hey, we need to talk, and then that's what they said. So I went to their house, and I was a little late getting there. I mean, I was trying to do, Google Maps or whatever, and for whatever reason, it was sending me like way too far north, and I knew it was wrong. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. So I started cutting across, and then I double checked it, and I thought, I kind of know where I'm at. I'm going to ignore the map thing. This thing is all wrong. And so I cut across town. I'm getting to this point. I'm like, dang it, I'm late now. But I finally made it to their place, and I parked, and I went inside, and they were all kind of gathered around in the coat room area. And then they moved into the living room and sat down and everything. And we didn't discuss anything at all. We just, we greeted each other, and they were hungry, and they wanted to start dinner. So then we went all to the dinner table, and we were talking about this and that. And they knew I loved pickled stuff. So there was pickled beets and pickles and other pickled things, and so I was really, really happy to see all that stuff in a salad. They knew I was into salad and stuff, and I'm like, it's a really interesting deal. It's like, nice. And so at some point I said, I know you're all kind of waiting for me to say something. Should we finish the meal, or do you want me to talk now, or what do you want me to do? And they all looked up and said, well, you basically told us you wanted to talk to us, so spit it out. What is it? And I started on I had this long drawn out thing, I knew before I was 4, and then my parents told me, and then I worked at Radio Shack with a trans girl and learned about transition, and then I was too scared, and I get to the part where, I'm 29 after, being divorced and losing a bunch of weight, and I had all the, hormones and stuff, and I was really scared again. And they said, okay, wait, so you're having a sex change, right? And I hadn't really said everything so that they would know the full, like they could deduce this, because I didn't talk about the hormones. I just, was dragging along about the details without the specifics. And, I was leading up to the whole thing where I was going to say, and when I'm done with those surgeries, I will be a 50-year-old woman. And I didn't get to that part, because they said, so you're having a sex change, right? And I said, I'm sorry, what? And then, my friend said, yeah, I'm just assuming, that's what's going on here, right? I mean, we've been waiting 15 years for you to say it. And I'm thinking, wait, what? And I looked over at his dad, and he's like, yeah, I mean, what took you so long to tell everybody? And I said, okay, wait. So I haven't acknowledged it. Yes, you're right. How did you know? And they said, oh, we've pretty much suspected this for years, but we all, because you were late, we all got together and sat down and talked about it, and we all agreed, oh yeah, that's what's going on here. This person's in transition, or going to be, and that's why they needed to speak with us. And I thought, oh my gosh, I really thought I, was a little better at hiding these things. And they said, well, it's not that you didn't try, but you'd show up in the world's biggest pickup, stick your head out, and that voice would come out of you. And, other things. It's like, we just figured you were either gay or a girl. So that was that. And so it's like, oh, well, okay, that's really awesome. And then we just finished our meal. And they're really wonderful. Like, I still talk to them on a regular basis, and I need to go out with my buddy. We'd like to go to sushi or something, and I really would love to do that. I haven't done that for a while, so I need to take him out to lunch as well, and maybe go see the parents. They moved recently, so they're super busy, but as soon as they get all settled in, I really am excited to come see them again, or go, see what they're doing. Beyond that, the people at group and stuff, that's a given, that's a safe place. But those were my experiences coming out to some of the important people. that I was worried about. I mean, there's some other people in the wings that, I haven't touched on, but, they were positive too. So in my worst case scenario brain, all of these things that I was so worried about, I didn't need to be worried about because honestly, it all worked out just fine. It was not a big deal, There have been some people who've pulled back, and they're less accepting now than they were initially. And there are some people who were less accepting initially who are extremely accepting now. So, I mean, there's some give and there's some take. And that's kind of the way it works. But nothing devastating happened, nothing horrifying or embarrassing or, I didn't have any of those experiences. And I think one of the reasons was I didn't make any demands of anyone. I just explained as nicely and kindly as I could. I didn't really have any expectations other than to do my best to communicate that I'm still me. I'm changing the packaging, but the contents are still the same. As a matter of fact, I think some of the contents are better now. I've been able to sort through the contents and get rid of some of the bad ones. So I'm actually really happy to go through a process where I get to improve myself as well as just be myself. So those were the experiences that I had coming out to friends and family. And hopefully those are positive experiences that might make you feel a little better about, well, okay, Jackie didn't have a horrifying experience. Now, that may not be your experience. And if things do go awry and you need support, there are places, your local LGBT group area, if there's an LGBT center in your area, they probably have a trans group. And you can join and sit down and talk, say nothing or say something, or, there's a lot of good things that can come from that because you're communing with people who get it. There are forums. I highly recommend transgenderpulse.com. They've got some really good resource pages with gender therapists and suicide hotlines and wonderful people who are very accepting, of course, who get it and who will be very welcoming. And I'd love to talk about these things, coming out and having difficulties or the anxieties you might face. And they have really good ideas and asking them, like, what's a good thing for this? I mean, they'll give you a lot of opinions, but you'll be able to get some good stuff from that. So I recommend stuff like that. And that's about all I can think of at the moment. So thought I would share that one. Again, you need to know I care because I'm going through all of these things as well. I've experienced ups and downs and still experiencing lots of things and all the things that are going to be going on. The other day I just got my referral to go have a consultation for VFS, vocal feminization surgery, which I'm very much looking forward to. So pitch is an issue for me. So I'm looking forward to, talking with the surgeons and seeing what that reality is like and whether or not it's a good fit for me or not. So that's coming. And if we do go through with that, you'll be seeing all of what that's like and hearing what that's like. And then in March, sometime I have my top surgery into March. So, we're going to go from this A cup or B cup. I don't know what I have, honestly. It says A. I swear it's bigger than A. My friends are all telling me it's a B, and they're probably right. So I don't know. I'm thinking, C range, something, just whatever's most common. And then I don't have the date, but FFS is under a year away. I'm thinking probably 10 months or something. That's a serious one. Oh my gosh, the bandages and bruises from that sucker are going to be scary, but the results, and I've seen the befores and after from my surgeon, you're going to be shocked. I'm going to be shocked. It's going to be awesome. So we're going to go through all of that. And then of course, bottom surgery. So, and today, I went to my electrologist today and got stripped right here, So, and it's a little swollen. So if you're wondering what's up with Jackie's face, well, it's swollen, It's, I opt for just doing one area and just really cleaning it rather than all over the place. I like it better that way. It seems like the way to go for me. an operator can actually go a little quicker if she doesn't have to go all over the place. So I just say, go, go nuts, strip it. So 4 hours is my limit, and 4 hours, my electrologist is like, okay, I'm so tired. And so we call it, and that's what we do. Then I went out to lunch and drove back and cleaned up the apartment a little bit and did some stuff and fixed a stereo. I had the stereo with a scratchy knob, so I fixed that and was playing music. And then I thought, I really want to talk about these things that I think people could relate to. So again, I'm going to remind you to thumbs up the video. Give me a like. Come on, like the video. And subscribe. I need subscribers. And if you do subscribe, click the alerts deal, and you'll get updates and stuff. And I'm going to just post content. I'm doing the things that are on my mind. If it pops in my head and it's thinking about it all day, well, I'm going to share it with you. And very soon we will have someone right here on the couch next to me. There's a local artist who is very involved in suicide prevention here in San Francisco. And she's bringing her artwork to share with us that has been part of different exhibits. And we're going to talk to her about suicide prevention and the things that she can share in that realm. She's very well connected in the LGBT community, and I'm really excited to talk with her soon. So that's coming up. Take care of yourself. Know that I care. I'm here. And I'm going to share with you everything I can think of so you can understand you're not alone and you can get through it too. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend. See you later. Bye.